All right. Super Bowl Sunday here. And got Johnny and I here. So, episode 19, we're on. And if you're tired or if you're bored of what you're watching on TV, or you want a little halftime break, I don't even know what the time is right now on the game. But yeah, tune in, check us out right now. We are going to be talking about renters, versus being a renter versus being a homeowner, right? And so the title of the episode is, renters are playing checkers while homeowners are playing chess, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that and quite a popular subject that I've been seeing a lot. I'm sure, Johnny, you might have been getting questions a lot, right? Should I do a refi or maybe a HELOC, right? So we have a lot of clients that are coming to us and saying, hey, I see the rates going down, right? What should I do? Right. So yeah. How you doing, Johnny, tonight?
Good, man. Good. It's been a busy week.
Yeah.
And even into today, it's been pretty busy. But it's been good. It's been good. Up here in the Twin Cities, the market's getting hot, right? So that's why it's been busy. I see that you're like killing it over there too, right?
Yeah. My playing my lights right now, killing my lights. But no, the market right now is kind of it's picking up. It's not quite there yet. But I mean, I work a lot with investors too, right? And so actually
Okay.
one house we put an offer on over the weekend, had 30
Nice.
offers. 30 offers.
30 offers. That's
30.
ridiculous.
But that was again,
insane.
it's an investment deal. So not quite as crazy yet on the normal retail purchase side, right? Hopefully. But yeah.
Dude,
All right.
we're pretty crazy up here. So
Oh, you guys are? Okay. You guys
yeah.
are already getting hot for retail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I had a house that went on the market on Friday, and we had probably I don't know, 9 showings between Friday afternoon, right?
Mhm.
So we couldn't get it open Friday morning. So
Okay.
Friday afternoon until midday today, and we'd had over 9 showings, and we just received an offer. So
Nice
and that's
work.
what 2 days. Yeah. So it's getting hot. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy, man. That's crazy. All right.
Mhm,
Well, I mean, we've been telling people to get in early before spring.
right.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes
spring
spring
now.
comes early. Yeah, sometimes spring comes early. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So let's get into the show here. Have you heard of this before? So apparently the median net worth of a US homeowner is roughly 400,000, but the median net worth of a renter is only $10,000. That's 40x.
Mhm. Yeah,
Have you heard
definitely
that
heard
before?
that, man.
Do
Yeah,
you,
absolutely. Absolutely.
when you hear that,
Um,
does it make sense in your head? Does it like, oh yeah, that makes sense?
I mean, we're in the business, right? So yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely it makes sense.
Okay.
There's so much things that take place, and there's so much of a significant difference. Like I know that people are paying higher rent than my mortgage now, right? When I first got my mortgage, it was what, back in the early 2000s, and the monthly payment was about 1,500, right?
Mhm.
And it's still like, I refinance in between, but it's still right around that number, right? And for a 5-bedroom house like the one I have, 5-bedroom, 2 bath, 2-car garage, right?
Mhm.
They're going for $2,700 a month in my town for rent. Like that's huge, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, for regular people not working in the industry, right? People that hear this stat, they're probably like, what the hell? Like,
Hmm, hmm.
do homeowners like magically earn more money? Do they have a better job? What
No,
do you what's the answer to that?
don't. They're like normal people, just like everybody else. The only thing is that they jumped into the system, right? They jumped
Mm,
into the system, got ahead of the game, and are doing much better now because of it.
right. So, basically getting a home sooner than waiting down the line, right?
Yep.
Which which we as realtors like to tell people that, but then people are just like, nah, you're just trying to tell me to buy a house.
Dude, let me say it like this, right? Back in I bought my house back in like 2006-ish,
Mm-hmm.
and my house was worth at that time, I don't know, I think it was like I bought it for like 210, right?
Okay,
Back in those days.
that's pretty expensive back in the
Um
day.
yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was, yeah, it was really expensive.
yeah. So that's before the
But
crash.
yeah, that was before the crash. So the
Mhm.
crash happens, right?
Right, the crash
And
happens. Yep.
the value goes down to 130, right?
Okay. Yeah, you should have bought then, right?
Right, exactly. Like I tried to, but I couldn't afford it then. I was a kid, right? So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it didn't quite work out. But
Mhm.
what is it? It's worth like twice
Sure.
what I bought it for
Originally,
today.
yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
like people say to wait for uh you know, I don't know, prices to go down. They
Mhm.
most of the times, like I was running the numbers for one of my investor buddies who's
Yeah.
also getting into a transaction, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, look, there was 3 years out of the last 30 years that housing prices went down.
Mhm.
What are the chances that they're going to go down like anytime soon? Like
Right,
probably not. Like it's just not going to happen. Like that's my forecast anyways.
right.
I'm not a what do you call it? It's not professional advice, it's just my opinion, right?
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, I guess, like, we get that pushback too, right? Okay, so I'm waiting for prices to go down. I'm waiting for rates to go down. Um, but, when you're renting, right, what is the rate for when you're renting?
What do you mean? Like
It's 100%.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
100%, right? Your
Yeah.
rent payment, it's not it's not gaining you any
No, it
wealth,
does nothing.
right? Does nothing,
Yeah.
right? You're basically throwing money away. But I mean, we're not here to, just say, like, completely say, okay, renting is stupid. I mean, there's a time and a place for renting, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Especially if you're a market like what, San Francisco, right? Where it's like cheaper to rent than to buy.
Like significantly cheaper.
Significantly
Yeah.
cheaper, right? Like,
Mhm.
you would never be able to buy a house, right? Like, the normal, even like a person who makes 100K supposedly
Has a
in
hard time,
in,
yeah.
in that area is considered low income.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
crazy, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah. So there's a time and place for it, but obviously most markets are not like that, thankfully. So the other thing that a lot of renter mindset folks, right? They don't understand is how equity works, right?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
right. So can you explain how is somebody building equity over time?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things, right? When you purchase house, the equity that you build is in the appreciation of the house, right? Which oftentimes is caused by inflation,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's caused by market demand, right?
Hmm.
Oftentimes it's caused by market demand. Um, and then building equity also happens when you pay your mortgage, right? So
Right.
every time you pay the principal, a portion of that, a portion of your monthly payment goes towards principal, which means it reduces the amount that you owe with the bank. And so you're building equity both in your monthly payment as well as in inflation and demand for properties.
Right. Right. So like, so you're building your equity up, right? And if by just having a house, because your house is going up with inflation, you're hedging yourself, your assets against inflation, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
If you just had money that you just had for down payment, sitting in a mattress, whatever, right?
Hmm.
That money is being, it's being eroded by inflation, right? The value of
Hmm.
that money, right?
It's
Whereas,
depreciating. Yeah.
right, it's depreciating. Whereas
Mhm.
if you would have bought a house, used it to buy a house, I mean, a lot of people seem to think that it has to be perfect. The house has to be perfect. A lot of times, I mean, it's just your first house. Like, you may not even live there past 3 years, or
Mhm.
even 1 year, right? It's just the first one. Like, chill out.
Yeah.
If you could get it and then get to the next one, it's like a stepping stone, right? So
Mhm.
that's something that's really cool about understanding inflation. And then, like you said, something else that people don't understand, obviously, inflation, future dollars are worth less, right?
Mhm.
When you purchase this house, let's say 20 years ago, right? Like you mentioned, 200 whatever thousand, you're paying it every month, every year with future dollars that are worth
Mhm.
less, right? So
Mhm.
what we mean is the dollar today, the currency today in the future is worth less than when you initially bought that, when you initially created that loan, right?
Yep.
Which is pretty mind blowing because like you're paying the same fixed debt that you had pulled out with future dollars that are worth less.
Yep.
And at the same time, you're creating equity and
Yep.
appreciation and growth.
Mhm.
So, some concepts that are easily missed, right? Um, and then we talked about, yes, your for the most part, most mortgages are fixed unless you do a adjustable rate mortgage, something like that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that is really how that net worth gap is created, right? Just the equity. When you rent a property, you are essentially helping your landlord or the building owner pay down their loan, building them the equity, and then you know all the while they may be jacking up your rent every year, right? So that's what happens.
I mean, there are some outside factors, right?
Mhm.
Like when you buy a house, and I want to put this out there because they're going to be, your Debbie Downers are going to talk about it, right?
Sure,
So they're going to
sure.
talk about, oh, there's things that you got to repair on your house.
Oh
Yes,
yeah, right.
absolutely, right?
Absolutely.
When you go into a rental, right? If you want the house to look better, sometimes you paint it, sometimes you add decor, right? And so, in the same thing, you're going to do it with your house. And yes, if the toilet breaks, you're going to have to fix it, right? But in the grand scheme of things, the equity that you earn, right, is definitely going to be higher. So, some people say that it's a was it force savings system, and so, like, it's forcing you because you have to fix your toilet. Your toilet's gonna be worth more once you get a new toilet in there, right? Your bathroom's gonna look better, which also increases the value of the home, right? So you're looking at like forced savings because you're going to have to update it anyways. In addition to that, it's forced savings because you're going to have to make that monthly payment, whether it's rent or whether it's your mortgage. You're going to have to make that payment. And so, that being said, I think it's huge, right? Are there some massive costs? Yes, absolutely. But I think if you got a good realtor, right, they'll help you avoid those costs at least in the first 5 years, right? The hopes is that
Mhm.
nothing actually happens in the first 5 years. Everything turns out just fine. You're living in it. The mortgage actually goes down. Hopefully, in the first 5 years, if you are a first time home buyer, your MI has been reduced, right, and so on. So you're looking at possible even a lesser monthly payment than originally. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of benefits to owning a home.
Right, right. And that's a great point. That is one of the biggest pushbacks too that we hear a lot. Oh, but once I become a homeowner, now I gotta fix everything. I'm gonna lose a bunch of money into fixing stuff, right? And like you said, uh, well, if you buy the right property up front, right, one that has a newer roof, because that is one of the more expensive things, and then newer
Yeah.
HVAC, right, like
Mhm,
furnace,
mhm,
AC, that type of thing. Newer windows are definitely a benefit because then they're less
mhm.
drafty, especially for northern climates like us.
Yeah,
Um,
no doubt.
more energy efficient, right? Um, so no, there's a number of things that you can set yourself up for success. And again, it all depends on your budget, right? I work with a lot of investors. I work with a lot of first time home buyers. They don't really have the money to buy the best property right away.
Mhm,
But there are a number of loan products that we could offer as well, where you could buy and then you can fix up the house at the same time, right? The
mhm.
rehab loans, right?
Yep.
Um, so we have a number of tools available to help somebody depending on their situation, whatever fits, right?
Mhm,
Um, and there are certain buyers that are comfortable with doing work, right? A little bit of work or even a lot of work. There's buyers on all different kinds of extremes. There's buyers who are like, hey, I don't want to do nothing. I just want to move in, right? So
Yep.
those are a little bit more challenging to find properties for, especially if their budget is more tighter. Definitely. But I mean, we can help you out. We can help find anything really, as long as you get pre-approved.
Yep.
um, yeah. So moving on here. So now that we've kind of laid the groundwork for the importance of equity, the how homeowners actually have so much more net worth, right, over renters, and explain all that and how that works. The next thing is, okay, great. Now I'm a homeowner, right? And I got this debt now. A lot of homeowners rush to pay their loan down. Like, I want to pay this off right away. You see that all the time, right? Which is not
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
bad. Not bad. It's not a bad idea. I mean, but if you really want to build your wealth, right? There's other ways to do it, right?
Yeah, there's better way to make interest, better way to like if your interest rate is like what 6%, right?
Hmm.
And you can make 12% on the market. I mean, why pay off the mortgage early?
Hmm. Or if you're one of the lucky people who has 2%, 3% rate, right? And you've got equity growth.
Hmm.
There's some people out there right now who have benefited from, they got the double bonus. They got the low rate plus the appreciation that happened over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then of course they're smart. They're like, oh, I don't want to do a refinance because if I do a refinance, that's going to replace their 2%, 3% rate, right?
Hmm.
So what other options do they have, Johnny?
I mean, so, like a lot of my clients come to me and, like when they have super low interest rates, we do a home equity loan, right? Or a home equity line of credit.
Hmm.
Those are other ways that you can tap into your equity and allow it to grow faster. And it's still like oftentimes people say, and I'm not 100% sure because I don't keep track of this, but the S&P 500 grows at about 10%, right? And if you just took that and you just plugged it into the S&P 500, you're still going to get like, I don't know, what like I think the rates are somewhere around like 7.5, maybe 8%, depending on your credit score in home equity loans. And you at least get 2%, right? On average. So the thought is that you can make more than the cost of the interest on home equity loans, right?
Hmm. Right, right. I mean, yeah, there's a difference, right, where you can just take the equity and go invest in something else and get a better return,
Mhm.
right? And that's kind
Mhm.
of the goal of investing, right? And of course, investing is risky. It's not guaranteed, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's rule number one. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're not trying to tell you guys to go and bet your house and everything, um, you know.
Yeah.
But there are ways to do things right, and then I think the main thing is a lot of people's concept about debt is that debt is they come with a negative attitude towards it, right? It's got a negative perception, right? Like I got to eliminate all debt as quick as possible, right? I got to kill it. um,
Mhm.
but the rich actually use debt to become wealthy. Can
Oh,
you explain?
absolutely.
Can you explain that a little bit? That concept?
So here's what I know, right? Here's what I know. Um, most, and this is like most average people, they have
Mhm.
a significant amount of equity in their homes right now, right?
Right.
Uh, what they do, right? So the thing is that let's say, for example, you have 150,000 um in your property in equity. And let's say that you can actually draw 100, right? This is just examples. Like
Okay.
these aren't really rough numbers. I'm just making up numbers right now. But just for example, you can draw 100,000. If you draw that 100,000 and invest it, right? You could probably make a pretty significant return. Now, the thing is that when you draw that out, you're not taxed on the 100,000, right? If you
Hmm.
went and you worked for 100,000, you will absolutely be taxed for 100,000. So like it's
Right.
extremely hard to get ahead when you're not taking loans out, right?
Mhm.
When you take loans out, now you can get the full amount. You don't get taxed on it. If you're making more and you're getting the interest, yeah, you're going to be taxed on the interest part, right, or the earnings part. But the thing is that you never got taxed on that 100,000. Now, imagine what you could do with 100,000. Could you build a business? Could you put it into the stock market? Could you? I mean, there's a number of ways to make that money work for you, right? And so when you get to a certain point in your life, right, where your business is really, really good, well, you want your business to pay for your debts, right? And so what that means is like if you're self-employed, right, you take out enough debts for your business to pay, right? So all of the income comes in and then it goes out in expenses and you get this, tax-free money to then invest. And
Mhm.
that's what the rich people do, as far as I'm aware, right? So,
Yeah, no,
not taxed, right?
that's pretty much it. That's like the silver bullet right there, right? Like that, like you said, if you were to go work for 100 grand, right?
Mhm, mhm.
You Uncle Sam's gonna want a piece of that, right?
25% or some like, I'm not a CPA, right? But I think it's gonna
or,
be, like, somewhere close to 25%.
or 30%, after FICA, Social Security, whatever, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
and imagine, like, I mean, I know there's some ballers out there with with jobs that give them like $100,000
Mhm. Yep,
bonus.
that's
And
all taxed.
what usually happens with bonuses, right? And what's the cut on bonuses?
It's, like, usually, like, 50% you get taxed.
50%,
Yeah,
right?
and so it's like
Right
and
away.
not everybody's tax bracket is a little bit different, so we can't, 100%
Right. But yeah, that's
no,
crazy though,
but
right?
yeah,
So
it's insane. Yeah.
I mean, if you can use this concept, right? And of course, like we said, investing is risky, but if you want to really grow your wealth, um, right, and pick an asset that you're comfortable with, pick an investment strategy you're comfortable with, but you have money just sitting there, right, that you could have access to, right, and you could put it to work, like Johnny said, um, and then it would be tax free. So you pull the debt out tax free. You just made 100K tax free. On top of that, if you actually have interest, things like that, you could potentially write it off, right?
Mhm, mhm. So check this out, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
we talk about, getting in, and we've kinda talked about, your primary home, right?
yeah.
But
Mhm.
what if this was your investment, right?
Sure.
And you took the loan out, and your tenants are paying for it,
Mhm.
right? They're paying for the full mortgage
Yes.
plus the home equity loan. So someone else is paying for you to take $100,000 out and invest in yourself. Like,
Oh, yeah.
dude, why wouldn't you do it? Like, it just
Right. Right.
right?
That's
Yeah.
crazy, yeah. No, I mean, you bring up a good point too. Also, some people do say, "Oh, well, I don't wanna take the equity out of my primary house because what if things go upside down, fall apart, and then I'm homeless?" Well, quite honestly, that's the risk you have to decide that what you're comfortable with, right?
What if
Um,
you rent and something goes south and you can't pay for the rent anymore? What happens?
that's true. That's true. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's negative things to anything. I mean,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
there's people you talk to, every solution you present, they come up with a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you start talking to that person like that, man, you're like, all right, I guess I'm done talking to you.
I still talk to them. I still talk to them and try to help them along. Like we all like, everybody needs a little bit of help and some takes longer than others, but the hopes is eventually people come along and they understand and I think that if you can like help them understand a little bit better, then it's definitely worth making everybody's life a little bit better, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
maybe.
know you're doing the same thing, so
No, yeah, there's just so some slow learners out there. Eventually, they may see the light, right? So,
they will with the time.
um, no, I mean sometimes people need to see it for themselves, right? They need to see, you know, there's a lot of people like us out there that are salespeople, right? That they may not believe us until they see the actual people out there doing the things that we're talking about. And when they
Mhm.
know somebody that they know, and they're like, "Oh, dang, okay, I need to get in," right?
Yeah.
So, um, all right. So now now we talked about the how to access your equity. There's one other product that I recently learned about, and not a HELOC. So if you want to keep your primary loan, you know, you want to keep that low interest rate. What you could do is get a they call it HE loan, which is like a secondary fixed loan, right?
Mhm.
So there's that option too. Um, and then of course, like Johnny mentioned, if you have investment properties, we could also do a HELOC on that. We could also do a HE loan on
Mhm.
that. There's many other ways that we could do it, right? Um, there's even first position HELOCs. So meaning
Mhm.
that a HELOC becomes your mortgage, not a fixed rate loan, right? Um, which can be pretty powerful, can be pretty dangerous if
Yeah,
you depending what you use it
absolutely.
for. Yeah. So that leads us to the other part of the conversation that I guess a lot of people are like, hey, you know what? How do you go from owning one property, right? So this kind of opens up that door. Like people look at other investors and say, I could barely afford to buy one house. How do you have like two, three, four, five, right? How do they do that, Johnny?
Well, so I mean, there's so many possible ways, right? There's if you want to try do things yourself, right?
Hmm.
You there okay, so this is like I'm not giving advice. I'm giving examples, right? Of what of what people do.
Okay.
um so there's been people that they would buy a house, right? And they would live in it for a year, right? And they put, somewhere between 3 to 5% down, and then they're ready to upgrade, right? They want to move to a bigger house, and then they want to go ahead and just turn their house into investment property, right?
Hmm.
They go and they get a bigger house, and they get one that's closer to their job, which deems it reasonable for them to go ahead and make a move, especially if their family is growing, right? And they pick up another one for 5% down. And then they're able to rent out the one that they've had for at least a year. So um that's not a lot of money down if you think about it. Now, for the first one, right? If you don't make that much money and you qualify for down payment assistance, there's a possibility that you might only be putting $1,000 down for all I know. No, right? Every
Right.
city is going to be
Out of
different.
pocket.
Yep, out of pocket. So every city is gonna be different, every program is gonna be different, every, guideline is gonna be different, but if you would look hard enough, there might be an opportunity in your neighborhood that allows you to do some of these things. And so if you only have to put look, security deposit, like, okay, so I'm a landlord, right? So my tenants, they pay security deposit plus they pay for a first month's rent all in one. And my minimum rental is like 1950. So that's approximately 2000. So they have to come up
Mm,
with $4,000 up front to move into my house.
yeah.
If you got $4,000 and you have a stable job and you don't have much debt, there's a possibility that you can get pre-qualified and get a house for $1,000 versus $4,000 to rent. So I mean, you got to talk to your people. You need to do your research and you need to jump in and dive in if it's something you want to do, right? I really think that home equity is definitely one of the easiest way to build net worth over time, right?
Hmm.
Whereas if you are a tenant, right, and let's say the monthly payment is too expensive for you to buy a house and you can find rent for much like probably half the price, then yeah, it makes sense to go ahead and rent. But that's with the assumption that you can handle your own savings, right? Meaning you can put that money away instead of being forced to put that money into your house, right? So
Hmm.
um I don't know. That's all I gotta say about that. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that definitely makes sense. And then once you get that first one, it's kind of like a snowball, right?
Mhm,
Once you
mhm.
can manage to get that first one, and you keep doing all the right things, right?
Mhm.
You turn that first one to the next one, and then the next one, right? Those two,
Mhm.
those two come together and they create the third one, fourth one, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, from listening to you, it is a lot of lifestyle choices, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
there's people who make good money, right? They make just like the difference between a renter and a homeowner. That homeowner may not have cable TV,
Mhm.
right? That's by decision, right? And
Mhm.
they may not have the newest car or the fanciest clothes, right? Um, and that all adds up, right? Um, Same with credit card debt. Like when where we are pre-approving people to get a mortgage, we're
Yep.
looking at those things like credit card debt, right? Like
Yep.
car load. Do you really need like a new car every, you know,
A
3
Tundra,
years?
right? My thing with Tundras,
Yeah, your
do you
favorite
really
thing,
need a
yeah.
Tundra?
Yeah, I actually own one, but, yeah. Oh, it's an old one. It's already paid off.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. I bought it used. Um, yeah, but, no, yeah, it's a lifestyle thing, right?
Yeah.
$8 coffees every day. Just buy your own
Mhm.
pack of coffee, make that out, right? I mean,
Yep.
we're not saying that saving that $8 a day is gonna magically make you rich overnight or someday, but, they it
The
these
more you can
decisions.
invest, the more you can invest, right?
It's true, right, right.
Yeah.
So, and like I tell a lot of people that this is just temporary, right? You have to have delayed gratification, right? Um, you have to be disciplined that hey, this is just a temporary thing where yeah, it may not be like we said, this is just your first home. It's the first
Mhm.
step,
Mhm.
right? It's not going to be ideal. The next one's
Mhm.
going to be better, hopefully. And then maybe the next third, fourth one's gonna be even better, right? So you gotta
Yep.
you gotta build yourself up, right? It doesn't just happen overnight. So um yeah, so I mean that is pretty much really all the things I wanted to really just talk about. Um, right. Understanding how homeowners have so much more net worth, right? 40 times, not four times, 40 times, right? Um, and it is real, it is possible, right? And then really just want to help people understand that um once you have that equity, once you have the home, you do have access to it, right? So there are options to it. One thing we didn't talk about is when do you use a HELOC versus a refi? Can you talk about that, Johnny? What are your thoughts on that?
So my recommendation to my clients is when the interest rate is significantly different, and you're not gaining by taking out a cash out refinance to, let's say, for example, so because there's ways to gain, right? So let me give you an example. So the example would be like, okay, so you don't have any debt, right? And you came in and you want some funds so that you can invest in your next property, right?
Mhm,
But you currently have a 30-year fix at 2% or 2.5%, right? So I do know a couple guys that have like 2.5 to about 3% interest rates. And your monthly payment is super cheap, right? And it wouldn't make sense for you to do a full cash out refinance to pay
mhm,
for the costs in addition to pay for um, the full loan, especially if it's a big loan, like let's say $600,000, right?
mhm,
To take out the cash out refinance, I have to pay for that interest. So what you would do instead, you would do a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit. Um, so that's when you would use that. Now, there are opportunities with cash out refinances where if you're going to pay off a bunch of debt that has super high interest rate already, right?
mhm.
And you only want one payment and you don't
Yes.
want to have to make two payments and you don't want to have extra like an extra monthly fee that is high and your interest rate isn't too far off right from the current market. So like I think I quoted someone in like everybody's rates are going to be different based on your credit score and all the information you provide us,
Mhm,
from the cost of your house to the location of the house, right? So rates in Michigan is going to be different from rates in Minnesota. But I just quoted someone like 5.99, right? And if your interest rate is 5.5 and you can get 5.99, and we're paying for your credit cards in the process, right? We're taking out the cash out to pay for your car loan, which is like 20%. Let's just say, for like, usually car loans aren't that high, but let's say, for example, your credit card loans are 20%, your car loan may be at 12. And we're putting you in a better financial position with one payment, right? That's much cheaper. And over time, the equity is going to pay for it all anyways, right? Because you're going to hold on to that house for 30 years. It makes sense. It makes sense to do a cash out refinance. You don't have to do a HELOC, right? But if you plan on, like, say for example, you want to pay off the HELOC fast and reuse it for another investment property, then you're
Hmm.
gonna want that line of credit, right? So everybody's situation is gonna be a little bit different going from one to the next.
Yeah. So just to clarify a little bit here, can you help clarify refinance versus cash out refinance?
Yeah, so a rate term refinance, right, is really just one that you're coming in and you're lowering your rate.
Mm,
If your rate's not lowering, there's really no point in doing that refinance. A cash out refinance is you coming in and taking out more equity, right, than what you currently owe, paying off that loan that you currently owe, in addition to receiving some money at closing. So, a cash out refinance is, something that, and sometimes you don't receive money at closing because, they're paying off credit cards and everything, and they
mhm.
already have all your statements and they're going to pay it all out, and you may not receive the cash, but then all of your debts are paid off, right? So
Right,
that's taking out equity is basically what it is.
right. Yeah, and a lot of people do utilize um, equity in our house for debt consolidation.
Consolidation. Yeah.
Consolidation. Sorry, I'm having a
It's
hard
all
time
good.
talking today. But yeah, so and you could do that with a HELOC too, right? And so I see a lot of people do it with a HELOC. Now let's talk about the difference between a HELOC and cash out refi or no, normal refi. Are the rates? What are the rates like between the two products?
Usually a little higher, right? The home equity loans,
Mm,
right? Home equity
yep,
loans, home equity line of credits. It's
yep,
going to be a second mortgage, and it's going to be a little bit higher.
mhm,
There are fixed loans, right? When it comes to home equity loans,
right,
when it comes to line of credit, that's not going to be a fix. It's going to be an adjustable. It changes
right,
based on the market, and so that's something that you just have to plan for.
right, right. Yeah, I get people who shop, right? Like they're trying to decide. I'm trying to do a cash out refi and I want to do a HELOC. Cash out refi got quoted 6%, whatever. I'm just making it up. Can you give me a HELOC for 6%? What's the answer?
No. If I did, in a few months, it's gonna change anyways, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Or even
Um,
if it's like there are some HELOCs out there that, gets locked in for maybe like 3 years, right? But after the 3
right, the
years,
teaser
it's
period,
gonna
the teaser.
change. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna
That's like
change.
the intro teaser. Like it's
Mhm,
fixed for
mhm,
1 year, maybe two at a low
mhm.
rate, and then it starts adjusting.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so something important about HELOCs, right? Can you kind of talk about the payment? Like, how often is it recalculated? How often can the rate change?
So, I think it depends on the HELOC program, right? But they can change every day, right?
Mm,
There are some that changes every day. There are some that changes monthly.
mhm,
There are some that changes annually, right?
right.
And so it depends on the HELOC that you get. But most, right? Most would change daily based on the current rate.
Mm,
And so that means that usually what it is, it's prime rate or something like that
mhm,
plus a margin, right?
yes,
And the margin might be, 2%. And so
right.
if, let's say, prime rate is at 6%, or let's be realistic, right? If prime rate is at 4%, right? It's
Sure.
because it's right around 3-4%. If it's at 4% and there's a margin of 2%, you're gonna be paying 6%. But right now, I believe that like the last one I seen, it was like at 3.5, right?
Mm,
Plus a prime rate or like a margin of about 3%, right? So
okay.
you got a 6.5 rate. However, like right now, what I'm seeing is interest rates is a little bit higher than that for a home equity line of credit. I think I'm seeing closer to like 7.5 is what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
But that could be just because of my client's credit scores, right? So
Oh, sure. Yeah. So yeah, very important is that HELOCs adjust, right? And
mm,
it could go down actually, right? Because if prime goes down, the prime rate goes down, then
yeah,
your interest rate could go down.
that's
So it's
exactly
not
what happened to
always
me.
it's
Yeah,
not always
like
negative, right? The
right.
negative thing that the rate adjusts. And
Yep.
then also, the balance gets recalculated, right? The difference
Mm,
between the two,
mhm,
cash out refinance or refinance, whatever, it's fixed payments for 30 some years, right? Whatever you take it out for. You could do 15 if you want to.
mhm,
Um, so but it's fixed payments, right? Whereas a HELOC, those payments are calculated based on your balance as well as what the rate is and all that. So if you pay your balance down on a HELOC, right, your payment could be very low.
mhm.
So, um,
Yeah, so there's like a HELOC hack out there, right?
oh, sure.
So if you've ever heard of the HELOC hack, basically what it is say for example, you make twice as much as your monthly payment, right?
Mhm,
And you take all of your equity and you put it into the HELOC. What happens is your so let's say just for example, right? You get a cash net payout of $4,000 a month, and your HELOC, right, is only a $2,000 payment, and that is also your primary loan, right? Meaning
mm,
it's the only loan that you have on the house.
right. So
Well,
you
what
don't have a
happens
fixed rate.
is what was that?
You don't have a normal loan, fixed rate loan in the
Correct.
primary position. You have a HELOC in the primary.
Correct. And
Mhm,
so when you go and it absorbs your whole entire um, payment, you're paying $2,000 off. That means you're paying the principal down. So the interest that gets collected on it is less that amount. And you can use it as kind of like a checking account, right? Where you
mhm,
can draw money out each month and then pay it off. And you may not be charged any interest on it. And so if you have something like that, because there's a cushion for so many days, if you have something like that and you're paying it monthly, you can
mhm,
actually pay off your loan faster because you're not paying as much interest, right? And then of course there are some that are interest only, so you're going to want to
right.
pay more than yeah, if you want to pay off your loan, right, you're going to want to pay more than the monthly payment that's required of you because it's
Mhm,
interest only. But that also provides you with opportunity because you don't need that money to go towards the principal because your equity is going to be growing, and so you would take that money and you would invest it, right?
yeah.
And okay, so to be honest, right, I've been in the business for a really long time and I've done a lot of loans. Most people it probably won't work well for you because you're going to overspend, right? Because you have this big old like line of credit and you're going to go out there and you're going to be like, I want that Tundra. And then you're going to pick up that Tundra, right? Do not do that. If you're one of those people, do not do the home equity loan hack that I was talking about. Like it's kind of dangerous, but if you're one that is very, very frugal, right? Dude, that's going to benefit you a ton. So,
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I think I've heard of that. It's called velocity banking.
yeah. Yep.
One of the other terms for it. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, you just got a bonus little strategy here. If you're disciplined, right? If you're a disciplined individual.
Mhm.
Um, I've not tried it myself, but I've heard of it. Um, and there's you can always Google YouTube videos on velocity banking. So yeah, see if it might be the right thing for you. We're not advising you to do it.
Right. No, absolutely not.
So yeah, yeah, don't
We're
don't go
just
to
stating
yeah,
opinions for
yeah,
educational purposes.
yes, yes. But yeah, the important part that I mean, if you're a first time listener and you've never heard of a HELOC before, essentially it is like a credit card, like a checking account, right? Kind of like you can borrow against it and then repay it, pay down the balance again and then borrow back. Whereas a refinance is one shot deal. You take it out, you take whatever you want, cash out, right? A little bit more than what you owe, and then that's it. You can't take back, right? You can't pay it down and take it back out, right? So that's really the difference. And terms wise, right? So fixed is fixed rate loans. You can do 15, you can do 30. What is the typical term for a HELOC?
So all my clients do 30 years, right? So oftentimes I see 30-year HELOCs. Um,
I mean,
there
they're
are
amortized for 30 though, but they're I thought typically from what I've seen, they're only 10 years.
So the 10 years is the portion where you can use the okay, so
Mm.
there's a bunch of different HELOCs out there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the one I'm thinking of, right, is the one that you can use it as a HELOC for 10
Hmm.
years, and then after
Right.
that it fully amortizes, and
It
then you
converts.
get
Yeah.
it for yeah,
Yeah.
the other 20 years it'll become a hard fixed loan, right?
Right.
So
Right.
in some of those, like you only have 3 years, right? So you
Oh,
kind of
okay.
have to know which HELOC program you're in.
Hmm.
Some of them they're 3 year HELOCs,
Yeah,
and
some
then
are
some of
5.
them,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, some are 5, some are 7,
Mhm.
some are 10. You don't often see ones that will be a HELOC for longer than 10 years. By that time, people
Right.
will come back and just do a refinance on their HELOC, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Or you
Mhm,
can consolidate. Yeah, you can do a
mhm,
refi, consolidate your first mortgage plus your HELOC together, and
mhm,
then you wrap it all in a new one.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So now we're learning a lot of things about making mortgages, you know, sexy again, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, Johnny's been in the industry for, like you said, a long time. You don't look too bad, Johnny, for like being what, 40? So and you've been in the industry for 35 years?
Yeah, basically, right? You can see the wrinkles on my face because I've been in it so long.
Yeah. And you just had to add the realtor thing to it too. So.
Yep. No, no.
So no, but I think that pretty much covers everything that I had initially, thought of when we're talking about this episode here. Um,
I
any
I wanna
thing
add
that we
something.
missed? Yeah, anything that we missed?
Yeah. So right now, a lot of people have a lot of equity, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't know that by having the equity, right? Yes, it's nice. It's cushioned. Yes, your house is appreciating. All that is great. And you don't have this big massive debt and you don't have a monthly payment. That is great. But there's so much opportunity to use the equity, right? To gain more. Because the
Mhm.
appreciation is going to appreciate whether you use the equity or you don't. The only
Mhm.
thing is, can you actually afford that monthly payment? Right.
Correct.
If you can afford the monthly payment, it's probably a good idea for you to go ahead and take your equity because most people at this time has at least about, I shouldn't say most people. I should just say there are a lot of people out there that has like $100,000 in equity, right? And it's just sitting and they're not utilizing those funds. If you can't, and I was talking to a group of financial advisors not that long ago. Of course we had Fu on before that, and I'm just gonna say it like this, right? If you can find a financial advisor that can get you 20%, right, return, that's better for you to go ahead and take a home equity loan out and then invest. Now, earlier, Laura said that there's risk involved in all investing. And so, invest carefully. Um, but at the same time, if they have produced 20% over, let's say, 30 years, there's a likelihood that they can continue to produce similar numbers, right? Because they understand how the market kind of works, whether it be the seasons or whether it be like they watch the different markets. And then in addition to that, if you don't want to do you don't want to find a financial advisor to run it, right? And you actually want to start your investment real estate investment business, right? I think now is kind of the opportune time, right? I don't we talked about it in a podcast before where or earlier podcast that we had where we both think that home prices are not like especially in, really good neighborhoods and really good microeconomies that the demand is actually going to increase due to the population, and that being said, the values of home are going to probably appreciate, and of course this is all speculation, right? But if it happens like the way that we think, and you were able to take that money and invest it into some real estate product, you're going to do really, really well. And oftentimes if you're investing, you should be buying under market value anyways, right?
Mhm.
So if you're buying properties under market value, right, then you're not only making the difference when it comes to market value, but you're also going to be making appreciation. You're also going to be making like it, there's going to be equity if you rent it out, right? They're going to be paying off your monthly payment. There's a lot of opportunity, and I can definitely say that if I didn't take advantage of real estate about like 15 years ago, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in today. And today
Mhm.
I'm in a much better position than when I was about 30 years ago. So um, don't let analysis paralysis stop you, but of course do your due diligence, right?
Yeah, no, no, this was definitely some good points. Of course, like they say, the best time to plant a tree was like what, 20, 30 years ago.
Hmm, hmm.
Second best time right now.
Yeah, today.
Right. So, I
Yeah.
mean, real estate, it's not get rich quick. It's more like get rich slowly and for sure. Right. Um,
Mhm,
so, take do your research, do what with it what you will. If you do want to invest in real estate, obviously talk to people like us who are always in the business, always looking at, real estate locally wherever we're at. We look at nationwide markets. Johnny's got a great deal of experience looking at multiple like short-term rental markets all over the country,
mhm, mhm,
different asset classes. We can help you with flips, long-term rentals, short-term rentals, you know, commercial, right? So it's
mhm.
whatever you really want to do. I mean, like Johnny said, you can get a financial planner, you can decide to do it yourself. I mean, there's lots of great assets out there right now, right, that are not real estate, like such as gold. Gold and silver is
Mhm.
going crazy, right?
Dude,
Um,
did you hear about Bitcoin?
it tanked.
Yeah, it tanked. It tanked, but it came back.
Did it come
Like,
back
it
already?
dropped down to, like, 60,000.
62, yeah.
It's at
Yeah, yeah.
70 now,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so, like, you wanna buy when the
By the
opportunity is
dip.
there, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
But that's
Wha
also the hardest part, Johnny, right? Like trying to time it, right? Like, oh, it's coming down, it's coming down. Should I buy now or should I wait?
Yeah,
It's tough, it's tough, right?
yeah, it definitely is. I don't recommend you just jumping into Bitcoin, right? Unless you want to, that's your prerogative. But I'm just saying, like, there's always an
Mhm.
opportunity out there, and if you want to jump in, there's like if you had 60,000, you could have made 10,000 over the last couple of days just by putting it into Bitcoin. Of course, you could have also lost it all, right? But
Oh,
that's a
man.
risk you have to be willing to take.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, a lot of people have been riding silver recently, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So I don't know if you've been following silver, but dude, it went from like what 60 to 120. I don't know, and then it dropped.
Yeah.
So if
Yep,
you bought at the
it did.
right time, oh, not
It
so
did,
good.
but I
It did drop.
heard I heard gold and copper
Uh-huh.
will likely not drop because that's what's needed in the future materials that we will be using, especially as we get
Mm,
closer to using more efficient AI stuff,
mm.
right? So,
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard that about gold being used in like materials. I know silver is a common material that's used in electronic components.
mhm,
Um, so not only is it like you know a store value precious metal, but
mhm,
yeah, I mean, it's being mined to be used in our electronics, right? And so it has double usage, and so that's one of the reasons why it's been shooting through the roof as well, because not enough silver go around.
Yeah. I
But-
mean, I don't invest in those things, right? Like that's a little too risky for me. I just do real estate.
Says the guy who day trades.
Okay, so I do option tradings, but I don't hold any silver. I don't hold any gold. I don't. Okay, so I have a little bit of Bitcoin, but that was like I've been holding on to that for about 10 years now. So but that like I don't plan on buying any bit more Bitcoin, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you bought it 10 years ago. You bought it at a good price. So
That's okay.
all right. Well, that's it for this episode. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. And again, if you did, hit the like button, hit that subscribe, and share it out with somebody else that might get some value out of it. We'll be taking a break for the next week here. Both of us are going to be out of town, and then we will be back on the 22nd. So we'll see you then.
Sounds good. See you guys.